All right, so if you don't mind, big brother, if you don't mind, can you introduce yourself to the people? Tell them who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, my name is Pac-Man or the real Pac-Man. I had to do that because everybody else was using it. Um, and I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm also known as Mr. Smokelahoma.
When did music first come into your life? Who were some of your early influences?
Oh man, I remember even like I would always hear like the Run DMCs and stuff like that. That was definitely a big influence for me. Um, Sorry, one second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was definitely a big influence on me. Run DMC, Beastie Boys. I mean, uh, riding in the car with my aunt and her listening to like Prince and George Clinton and Parliament, Funkadelic. So like I had influences with a lot of soul and funk when I was a kid, and I remember seeing a commercial. I think I was like 6 or 7, and it was something about you got to scratch a record or got to scratch a record, and my mom had bought me like the little microphone, handheld microphone thing you could record on, and
Mm-hmm.
I was just back there like rapping to the commercial, and recording it. But me and my brother started like really getting into like playing the piano and keys and getting into instruments and all that. Like once we got out of school, 14 to 15, we had a keyboard, a microphone, and was just trying to, create and make things happen then. So like from what influenced me, the things that I loved, I wanted to like use my own creativity to create my own thing, that maybe other people would love, like I love their stuff.
Well, what side of Tulsa did you grow up on, and what was it like for you growing up?
Ooh, so that's a hard one because we moved around a lot in Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
So I pretty much have lived on every side. So when I was younger, um, I lived kind of like off of Admiral, in between Admiral and Pine. I'm not going to say north because that's not north to me.
Yeah.
In between the Admiral and Pine area and Sheridan. So we were back there in some little houses. We moved to apartments. Duplex out east,
Mm-hmm.
apartments in Central Tulsa. Like, really didn't get out to South Tulsa till I got older. But north, like 44th Street North, I used to be out there all the time. I mean, back then, like in the late '90s, like it's crazy out north now because like when I go out there, I see a lot of white people, and I just there wasn't a thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't see them just out there. It was just like me and my brother. Like people
Yeah.
were surprised to see us out there.
Yeah.
And we'd pull up at the 007. And we were like
Right.
16
Yeah.
and 17, and they were bringing us drinks from inside out to the car. And they were like, "This is Pac-Man. He's Italian, like Robert De Niro." And so it kind of like it kind of just kind of went like that, man. We moved around a lot. I stayed on every side. I stayed in West Tulsa. I had a nice house in West Tulsa, and all I can say is in Oklahoma, have your receipts because they can take your house and your cars.
Yeah.
And but I've lived everywhere. So I've grown up all around Tulsa. Uh, there isn't a side I haven't lived on.
So I mean, you had, if you don't mind me asking, you had both parents. Like, how was it growing up though? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
So yes and no. So like, yeah, we had both parents when I was young. My parents got a divorce. They split up. My dad was a truck driver, so he traveled a lot. Um, and so like he would always be on the road, and sometimes we would never really see him anyway. So getting the divorce was like, okay, so we're just gonna see you less than we already were.
Yeah.
But yeah, like later on, my pops moved back up here from where he was out east on the East Coast, staying with his brother, and even though my parents never like reconnected or nothing, me and my brother, we always, mom and pops, we always had them close, and we could always reach out to them, and then I lost my pops about 4 years ago.
My condolences.
So yeah, and it's still a difficult thing, but like even the things that he did wrong, that I like, the things he did wrong, I still learned from his mistakes, So it just helps me be a better dad to my kid and realize like whatever I do, I can't go down this path, I can't make those kind of decisions because it ain't about me no more,
Was it a moment, or excuse me, when was the moment that you knew you wanted to take music like seriously?
Okay, so me and my brother were staying in Okmulgee in my with my auntie, and she had like a little like garage building separate in the back, and me and my brother would just always hang out in there. We'd hang out, we'd drink, we'd invite people over, we just kick it, couches, TVs, all of that. So we had got a Casio keyboard, microphone, and all that stuff, and we were back there like recording music. This was in like 93, 94. No, it was about 95. I was 15. So yeah, about 95. And we were just back there recording stuff, and just listening back to it for ourselves and our friends, and then we'd have friends come in and be like, we'd turn them into singers. We're like, man, they're like, I can't sing, like you singing this hook today, and it kind of grew from there, where I always loved doing music. I would just make tapes. There wasn't CDs. So like I would just make tapes for my friends, and I'd be like, man, check this out. And it only have like 4 or 5 songs on it, but they tell me they just keep listening to them over and over again. And I was like, well, that's cool. And when we moved back to Tulsa, I started like going to other like, hey, I can produce, I can make beats. I don't just rap, I can make beats, and started going to other people's studios, just hang out, see if I could, hey, can I make a beat? If you like it, you can have it. I just want to create,
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of like jumping around to other people's studios, learning stuff about how they hook stuff up and how things were working. And that was like my training day. You know what I mean? And I had somebody with me at that time that was supposed to be a friend that was just like Denzel, Yeah. And he like, that was my training day. I learned a lot, and I learned like how to look for some of the snakes, I remember I went to Texas, and I came back, and I was at Sound Warehouse, which is like a big music shop that used to be on Cherry Street. They had a big like bar at the back, and you could take any album off the shelf and give it to them and sit there and listen to the whole album. Like any album. You don't even have to buy it. They got one open, they'll play it for you, listen to it. If you like it, you can buy it. And I went there, and I was like, I want to hear all local artists, because I knew they did consignments there. And there was like, what was dude's name? Daddy D, I think. It was like a cassette tape with a drawing of like a pimp. and I saw who was it? Player 1000 album was in there, and the 44 Click, right? That was the album that Miller had did, and I hadn't met Miller at this time. And anyway, while I'm there and I'm looking at these, this dude comes up to me. He's like, "You like that CD?" I said, "I ain't really listened to it yet." So I put it in, I started listening to it. He's like, "You like it?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I know this guy," talking about Miller, Andre. He's like, I know this guy right here. I can introduce you to him. And I'm like, cool. I'm a producer. Like, I make beats. I learned how to do a lot of stuff in Texas. I had produced a couple tracks on a Gangsta Nip album.
He mentioned that, yeah.
But that was like like I said, it was my training day. I got to be on a CD, and the feeling of that, even though they only got rid of like 1,000 or 2 copies, it just felt cool to see my name on something, And so I was like, okay, yeah, introduce me to him. So they was kind of like, he knew him and his friend both knew Miller, but they was like trying to like middleman us. They were like, they were telling him like, you're not ready to meet Pak-Man, and they were telling me like, oh, he's so busy, man. Next time he comes around, we'll let you know. And they just this went on for months, like 5 or 6 months. I'm like, man, y'all full of shit. Finally, like somebody around there was like, "Oh, Pac-Man," oh, I know Pac-Man, and gave Miller my number. So we cut them losers out. We were like, well, you know, whatever. And he called me and was like, hey, you know, I heard you can make beats, you know how to work equipment. I got a VS880, and I was like, yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. But I was like, yeah, bring it over. Let's you know, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I had no idea what a VS880 was, man. And there wasn't like a lot of internet that days. If I got on AOL to try to figure it out, by the time he got there with it, I still wouldn't have found it with that dial up, all that stuff. So he brought the machine over, and I was like, whoo, got my work cut out for me. And I had a keyboard, and I was like, look, we're gonna need this, and this, and you know, his boy got the stuff, and like we set it up. We had a metal hanger with pantyhose slid on it as our popper stopper, for our peas, you know, and in the closet with the bed, like the whole thing, man. And we just started making music with us, our friends. I didn't know how to loop in those. I didn't know how to do any of that in that VS880. I haven't dealt with anything digital until then. That was like the first digital workstation. And so I was on the key, like say I made my drum track, and I would play the whole drum track for 4.5 minutes, my dude. Go to the next track. Here go the hi-hat. You know what I'm saying? Here go the keys. If I got to like the 8th or 9th bar and I messed up, back to the beginning, you know.
Start all over.
As I started working with it and learning it, I figured out how to chop the audio and copy and paste. Once I learned how to copy and paste, it was a wrap. We had all these songs together, and they were banging songs. This was like this was like 98, 1998. And in my bedroom at my mom's apartment, you know what I'm saying? We just in the back, smoke clouds everywhere. Mama hate me, you know what I'm saying? She's like, well, at least y'all getting high in the house and not out there like, you know, in the streets. So it did have its positives. And, you know, we had all these songs, right? We had like, you know, 15, 18 songs. And we're like, man, we need to get these pressed up. We need cassette tapes and CDs, right? So we started like looking at companies to print and press, and found a company in Canada that was cheap, and to like they could print up 1,000 CDs and 1,000 cassette tapes. Let's just see. Well, we didn't have no graphics. We didn't have no album cover or nothing, right? And at that time, Pen and Pixels was so popular, doing Master P's album covers. You know what I'm saying? All of those Pen and Pixel album covers, like all of those. And so we actually reached out to Pen and Pixel and talked to a graphic designer to see about getting an album cover done, right? They wanted thousands of dollars. It would have cost us more to get an album cover created by them than it would have cost us for 4,000 CDs and cassettes.
Wow.
So I was on the sneak. I was like, yeah, well, I just want to have one more conversation with you, right? And I asked them, I said, can you tell me like what programs are y'all using to do? Oh, we're using Photoshop. Oh, we're using Corel Draw. Boom. All right, appreciate it. I hit up my uncle, who was always getting me like software. He got me software to make music with. He got me sounds. And he was like, I can get you Photoshop. I can get you and he got that program for me. And I taught myself how to create album covers right then, and made the Heat album cover. That's the first album cover I ever did. That was the end of 98, beginning of 99. And I just stuck to it. I started doing other people, not just our album covers, for 5 albums in 5 years in a row. That's what we did. We did me and Miller did 5 albums, 5 years in a row. Each year we was dropping a new album. It was either a 9 Miller album or a BigFellaz album or another 9 Miller album or an In-Capp family. You know, we were consistent, but I was doing other people's covers. And then I started doing like Pen and Pixels. I started making covers for albums we ain't even started working on yet. Just like, I know I want to do an album, so let's make a cover for it and show them and say coming soon, and do the same thing. And so like I hankered down on it, man. The same way I taught myself how to make music, I taught myself how to do graphics, man. And I just always stuck with it. And I got better and better and better. And you back then from 99 to 2004, 2005, if you had a dope looking album cover, chances are I made it. If you're in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And even Oklahoma City, like SB and them, I did graphics for them too. And then they started doing graphics, and it's just kind of something that always went hand to hand. Like by default, I had to learn how to make the album cover so we could get these pressed up. And it was just something that it was just like Miller would hit the road and go sell CDs, and I'd be already working on the next album. He knew that when he came back, I would have 50 beats to go through for us to pick songs for, and I would already have album covers ready for whatever the next project was. So it was just a thing. Like we both knew how it was going to work.
I'm glad you brought up In-Capp. You know what I mean? How did that connect first happen?
So like the 44 Click album, which was the first album I had heard him on, was with Caterpillar Records. That was him and three of the homies. And like Caterpillar Records was his thing, and the little tapes that I was making with my brother and anything that I ever had my name on, I always had Insane Records, and like we talked about, like we're creating something new. Like this isn't what I was doing with the cassette tapes and like hustling tapes, and this ain't like what he was doing with the 44 Click, even though that was great, but this was like a union. And so like when we decided like, well, it's got to be both of us, so let's take the In from Insane and the Cap from Caterpillar and make In-Capp. And it just was catchy, and we never had another thought about it. It was like In-Capp Records, that's what it is. And a lot of people didn't even know that's where it came from. Like I'm sure him saying that and me saying this is the only time anyone's ever heard that story.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate y'all for giving me that chance to get that out there.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so talk about the creation of BigFellaz.
BigFellaz.
Yeah. How did that movement come together?
So, man, I love that album. It was just let's see, what album was that? That was okay. We did 9 Mil the Heat, then In-Capp Family, 9 Mil Around Deuce. Basically, BigFellaz was In-Capp Family. It's just that with In-Capp Family, we had Tay and Lil Snipe and my brother, like they were all over everything. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot more features on the In-Capp Family, so it was more of a family album. Like it was all of us. Mm-hmm. And BigFellaz was like me and Miller. Like every song, me and Miller, and a feature like here and there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it was just like we was BigFellaz. I mean, and they was telling us that, and we were fine with it. Yeah. They were like, "Oh, here come the BigFellaz." I'm like, "That's gonna be the name of the next album," Yeah. Plus, we would go to a buffet and we would shut it down. No, but it was just something that we worked on. We knew we was gonna call it BigFellaz. We kind of did like a thing where I would make the cover, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, "This is it." We might already only have like 3 or 4 songs into it. But once we saw that cover, it like motivated us. Like now we're going to finish the album. Now we're going to write enough songs to fill this thing up. Mm-hmm. And it just came together, man. And I mean, there was other, like, my brother produced too. He on a lot of stuff. I produced a lot of stuff. I was rapping on everything. Miller's rapping on everything. A lot of the hooks were either like our friends coming in and coming up with a hook on the spot when they heard our verses, or us writing a hook and having someone come and do it. It was a good collection, man. And I really think out of all the albums we did, it's probably my favorite out of the 5. Of course, The Heat is the classic, but you gradually you can listen to like how I got better at doing beats, mm-hmm. how I got better at recording, mm-hmm. mixing and mastering. I was doing all of that, like all of that, the graphics, the mixing, the mastering, the recording, the rapping. Like, and you can hear like our quality get better as the albums go. And I think by the time we get to BigFellaz, I had a sound that was like unlike anything else.
Yeah, so now y'all had some. You produced some fire beats. I was about to say y'all had some fire beats. Now you had some fire, and I know you still make fire beats. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, man.
what was like back then? What was that the grind in the studio, and what was the process of putting the albums together like?
Well, I mean, the thing was, because I was trying at that time when I was doing, a lot of people wanted to record their own stuff, right? So, like, I did stuff for Lil Hennessy. I did, stuff with other artists. You know what I'm saying? And I would like record. So I was like grinding studio time and recording our own music. Just to kind of have some money coming in. And record with my friends too. I think that for me and Miller, it was always easy. Like we'll play a beat and we just sit there and we would vibe, and now we got a hook. We would always usually just come with the hook first. Because like once we got the hook and we know what we're talking about, the verses are easy. And so like it would be easy for us to just sit in there and come up with stuff. But when you would have people that pay a studio time, now like look, you want to spend all the time in the studio writing, that's on you, man. I'll take the money.
Mm-hmm.
But the best thing you can do if you're paying for studio time is take your music home, get everything down the way you like it. You don't have to come back in with the paper if you don't want to, but come back in when you're ready to record. If you do it that way, you could probably knock out 2 songs in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people coming in, they just really wanted to come in and be in the studio and write. And get on the phone and call a woman and and be like, hey, yeah, I'm at the studio, like,
yeah,
like that's what you want to pay. That's what you want to pay for. I mean, it's fine with me, but it was easy for us to make music together. The most difficult part was like other people not being ready, or like other people. Like, here's the thing: like if you're recording something on our stuff, like we gotta like it too. Like we're not gonna want to put it out if it ain't good.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple artists might have been a little hard headed about fixing some things, and they were like, "No, this is me, and this is how I am." And we're like, "All right," well, and then the song wouldn't make the album. I'm sorry, the song ain't going on the album. But we tried to make everything cohesive and different. Like nowadays, when you get an album, the whole album is like one mode.
Mm-hmm.
That's because the people putting it out, right? The distribution companies,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want an album that has a whole bunch of different modes on it. No. They want to sell you one mode at a time,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we didn't think like that. We thought that here's an album where every song is going to have a different subject. There's not going to be 2 songs back to back that sound the same ever on any of our stuff, and it's still going to be cohesive. It could be cohesive without everything being the same sound, But yeah, man. I mean, the studio grind with me and Miller was always fun. It was always easy. The most issues I had was doing stuff outside of ours, like recording other artists, and I'm not saying everybody was like that, but that I had more struggles doing other people's stuff than working with Miller. Me and Miller play the beat, we write and we record. We got so used to it that it's never it'll still to this day it will never be an issue. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then the game changed. Now nobody there. Of course, there's no cassette tapes anymore. That's not even a thing. CDs really ain't even a thing no more. Everybody's digital, and like I got all these streamers. But here's the thing: like when people hand you cash money for your music, that's a different feeling. And it's sad to say that a lot of these artists won't ever understand that.
Yeah, that showed the real appreciation. That
right. And the character.
Yeah, the work you done put in. Yeah.
Because we would be here and people would be like, oh man, I've got, whatever. I did this and I did that. And I get it. You reach your goals, man. You know what I'm saying? But don't act like you're doing more than the people who are leaving Oklahoma, going state to state. I can't even tell you how many states Miller probably went through with the music. More than half the states in America.
See, you brought up Canada earlier, and I thought you was gonna talk about it, but he told me about what happened in Canada.
Look, the way things are going here. I'm trying to move to Canada.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my family and go. But no, yeah, Canada was tough, man. Canada was a tough thing. And then when we had the duplex out east, they had a duplex across the street that had been empty. We just came one day and they had newspaper stuck to all the windows, right? And me and Miller like, man, that's kind of weird, that's like suspect. So then we had our CDs delivered to us, right? So our duplex was right next to the spot. So we got two duplexes, two buildings. I mean, two addresses in one building.
Yeah.
So the spot's next door and the studio's here, right? So every time they kicked in our shit, they kicked in the spots and vice versa. So like the police ran in there. It was like, but before that happened, like a FedEx truck backed up to deliver our CDs, right? This is the BigFellaz CD, and the FedEx truck backs up. They open the back of the FedEx truck. There's nothing else in this truck but our box in the center, strapped down. It was the weirdest shit. And I was like, what is this weird shit? Like, I said, you have no more deliveries? He's like, just you guys. And I'm like, this is crazy. We get the box out. As soon as we get the box inside my duplex, police kicked the door in. They was watching from across the street through the newspaper in the window at that duplex, watching our whole thing, watched them deliver it. Didn't know what we were getting delivered. Knew we had a delivery, but they didn't have a search warrant to open it. So they waited until they delivered it and we got it in the house. Then they came and banged in the door, right? And like everybody on the ground. I had my tray up here with all my flour on it, right?
Yeah.
Cops going through the house. I'm like, here, let me move some of this out your way. And I literally my jacket, my tray is on top of. I had a big speaker, like a house speaker. My tray is on top of that. I took my jacket and threw it on top of the speaker.
Yeah, covered him up real quick.
Covered it on up. They had us. They ran. There was so many. I was in there recording with artists and stuff, man. I'm sitting there at the window making a beat, like listening to them, and I just see. I'm like, what the? And then two guns like coming like this through the window, like it's the Tulsa police. Laid us all down. They ran out of handcuffs. They started putting plastic ties on us. The whole shit. We're like, open that box.
For some CDs.
We want to see what's in that box. We opened the box like, what y'all think this was? What y'all think we getting birds and chickens delivered by FedEx? Do we look that stupid? So yeah, that was the whole thing. Canada was bad too.
Yeah,
but I think it feels worse when you're not home. But that was some shit because like they came in and laid everybody down for a box of CDs that came from Canada.
Yeah, because he told me they took the CDs.
Yeah.
So they were sending them back. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that was when I first met Beavis and Butthead. And if you're from Tulsa, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we know them.
Yeah, man. It's but yeah, so yeah, they messed with us then. They messed with us at the home front. They hated it. They pulled up on him one time when he was with my brother. And he went to the trunk and popped the trunk. It was like, y'all want to see y'all fucking with?
I watched the DJ Screw documentary, and he went through that. And he was selling tapes at his house or whatever, and the line was so long, the police didn't know what they was getting. Right. He was selling screw tapes.
Got a straight tape.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and they raided his house, and all he had was tapes.
Yeah, man. Crazy. You try to do something legitimate, you know what I'm saying? And that's what they mess with you for. It's crazy.
They still want to say, nope, you
That's it, man. And that's one thing that ain't changed here. TPD is still just as ignorant now as they were then,
When you dropped your solo part, your first official solo release.
So yes. I did the This Is Me album, and it was the new and untouchable In-Capp Records because You know, I was like, you know, the new and unstoppable Death Row. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
like at that point, I felt like In-Capp was like Tulsa's Death Row. You know what I'm saying? Except there was no Suge. We didn't have no Suge problems. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like my first like real solo album where I was on every song and I had some good features. Man, I had some great features, man. And it just the person that was pressing my CDs up did was an artist as well, and he didn't really want he wanted his album to kind of go, and maybe I should have waited. Maybe I should have been like, let's go and let your album go, and then I'll press up mine, you know, and that would have gave me more time to like tighten everything up and maybe have a better product, and gave him time to actually push his album first. But I was ignorant and I was excited, and I was like, it's done. I got the cover done. Let's press them, you know. And it kind of just muddied the waters between me and that person, unfortunately. But the album is great. I'm working on trying to get it online somewhere because I have a lot of issues because I did a lot of samples. And you know, sample clearance for an independent artist just ain't it's a little difficult to get around that. Even a lot of the songs that me and Miller did where I used samples, I couldn't put those on Spotify, which all are old music now. All the old albums, you know, BigFellaz, 9 Miller, Round Deuce, all our old music is on all streaming platforms right now. Just to let everybody know. If you like the old music, I don't want to listen to my old music because I've grown up. But there are classics, and I know a lot of people do want to listen to them. So all that old music is streaming everywhere, and they can listen to it, minus the songs that I use samples in, or well, not really did samples, but like we redid an Aaliyah beat. Like I remade an Aaliyah beat. Bum 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 bum. We can't put that on the streaming channels, you know. So you have to reach out to us to get a copy of that. But yeah, just little things like that, man. Kind of like bumps in the road. And then I took a hiatus, man. You know,
you and Miller got a lot of undeniable chemistry when it comes to them tracks. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, when y'all go in there, it just spark.
Yeah. The This Is Me was kind of like that was like the last time I really had did music with Miller for like after that a couple songs that we did on there together. We didn't really do music together anymore, and like I started I got with the label True Hog, and I did the Kill Yourself album. And man, it's a great album, and it's on there. It's online, so it can stream. I mean, I know Miller's not on there, but the music is great, and like I had a really good time, and it's me. Like there's nothing on the Kill Yourself album that doesn't represent me at that time, you know. And I think it's a really good and a slept on album. Then I had a whole bunch of music that like didn't make the album and stuff I did later, and then I just like quit like writing, and I would just produce for other people and did graphics, and became a dad, and owned a dispensary and started Smokelahoma TV. Smokelahoma is my company, and just started doing content, the things I like to enjoy. And I just recently, in the last couple months, got back to making beats again and writing again, and I'm working on the Game Over album now, and it's going to be a lot different than what anything I've ever done, but that's because I'm in a lot different place than I've ever been in, and I can't help but talk about where I'm at,
See, I want to ask you about the relationship between you and Miller now, but I was listening to you, and once you said True Hog, I was like, damn, that is. I've always heard your name, heard the music, but I remember the first time I actually got to see you was at Big Chris's and at True Hog.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, damn, that was around the first time, and that was a cool minute ago, but shout out to True, everybody that was a part of that. True Hog.
Yeah, I mean, we had a good thing going. I mean, I artists that I've worked with that I love to death like brothers, and I will always Anytime they need anything from me, whether it's beats, graphics, come help me hook up these cameras, help hook up this equipment, whatever it is, get on songs, produce for them, anything they want, hey, I will. Miller is definite. Like he could call me right now and I had to end the interview. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
but,
stay real,
like that's my brother, you know. And then like I worked with Young Prez, great artist. Doja, great artist from Bartlesville. That's my dude, and I'll always do stuff with him. And he's grown and he's expanded and doing stuff. And we did a whole me, Prez, and Doja, and C Mace. We did a whole year of mixtapes, and we were killing them. And I can't put those out on streaming or nothing, but I'm telling you right now, I still got all our mixtapes. Natural Born Spitters, Lethal Weapons, what was it? Once Upon a Time in Oklahoma, or Once Upon a Time in Tulsa, Big Trouble in Little Tulsa, like we did mixtapes, and it was just fun. It's just like exercising, you know, before you actually go for the big run, you know. That's another thing that don't happen a lot. Mixtapes really ain't even a thing no more.
Yeah, because they was hot. What, mid 2000s, I think.
Yeah,
they was hot. That Nothing or Something album. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing or Something.
What went into to that project? What went into making that project?
Like, so yeah, From Nuthin to Something, BigFellaz. I mean, basically, like, you know, Miller came back. He had just got back, you know, selling like the last of what we had of the other albums, you know, Round Deuce and In-Capp Family. We didn't do the cassette tapes anymore at that time because cassettes was gone. But we had those CDs, and we had a couple compilations from other artists in here that we were featured on. You know, like there was a Oklahoma compilation that had every Oklahoma artist on it. Man, I wish I could get a copy of that. And me and Miller had a couple songs on there, and we even had their CDs. Like he got some of their CDs. Like, I'll sell your shit too. I'll sell everybody, you know. And so like he had just got back from doing that, and as soon as he touched back down, I'm like, all I've been doing the whole time that he was on the road was making beats for the next album. You know, so he'd come in and he already know we'd probably spend 2 days just listening to beats. And if, you know, oh, I like that beat. Okay, well then I'll lengthen. It'll just be like a loop where you got intro, hook, verse, hook, or whatever. And so like once he picked the ones he liked, and I was like, yeah, I'm with that, you know, and we always would agree. So we would go through them and we would agree on like, yeah, let's do something to this. And then I would just lengthen them out. We'd start writing, or, you know, you come in there, we might just be mumbling with our pen and pad, like just trying to get it in our head before we even write anything down. And you know, I think we wrote and recorded that album in a couple weeks.
Oh wow!
You know, and that was not just like staying on it either. That's a couple weeks of just kind of, you know, yeah, let's make a song. Let's make a couple songs today. You know.
Yeah, so I was about to say, yeah, I would be putting a couple songs in each time.
Yeah. But it was definitely a good album, and at that time I felt like I had really grown, especially on the production. I feel like a lot of the production was a lot cleaner, and you know, I learned a lot more about mixing and mastering. So by the time we got to the BigFellaz album, I was like, I was at a, you know, higher level. Now don't get me wrong, if you go from that album to the Kill Yourself album, and it's even, because I just kept learning. I kept learning more tricks of the trade. I kept learning more how to mix and where to put things in the mix, and you know. And so I just got better at all that. I got better at the graphics. I got better at making music. Yeah, it was just a real good growth.
Was there a particular song or verse where you was like, yeah, we stamped the city with this one?
Well, I would give one answer, right? Yeah. But the answer, everybody else, if you ask anybody who like listened to music, our music, and you ask them like what was, I guarantee you they're gonna say it's the In-Capp song. or Back for More, where they're like, "Girl, let me sex you."
I was that.
That is their number one. That is their number one song of ours. And at the time, I was like, "Yeah, that's great." When I go back and listen to it, right? When my wife hears, "Girl, let me sex you till your kitty sore," she look over at me like, "What kind of animal was you?" But like I said, like things have changed, and so that changed the way I did music. So like the things, and I'm not saying things were okay to say then, because I feel like if they're not okay now, they were never okay. But we were ignorant, and so we said a lot of shit, and we offended a lot of people. And as I grew up, I started to learn, like I got a son that's on the spectrum, right? So I would go back and I would hear myself say that R word and be like, I don't want to hear this shit,
Yeah.
and just be mad at myself, man, just because of how ignorant I was. So the good thing was like growing out of that. But I mean that back for more is the one everybody else is gonna say. I loved all our songs. I think the ones I think Green and Swisher Sweets, which we weren't able to put on there because it's a replaying of Between the Sheets by the Ozzy Brothers. But and Big John, rest his soul, Big John sung that hook and was like, whoa, green and swishers.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was so banging.
Yeah.
That was probably one, and that was produced by Leo. That was like one of my favorite songs that we had, and I'm just every time I hear it, I'm like, man, that was just like such a great song for us because it was us, man. We were smoking, and it was a smoking song, and it was just us, man.
What role did Tulsa play in shaping your music? The culture, the streets, the politics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it. Like I feel like we shaped it. I feel like I don't know. I feel like at some point there was a standard. At least there was to us. And that standard might have fallen off now because everything's digital and everything. But the good thing that I could say is it was a lot harder. You couldn't come out and say I'm the best in Tulsa, right? If you ain't pushed no units. If you haven't sold any music outside of Oklahoma, you couldn't come back here talking no shit back then. But we would have shut you down. And I went and it's different then too because I'm like an artist dissed me here on the album, and I went to his show. I went to his show with a big shirt on that said "Fuck your album." I went to his album release, so things were different then. I was hard headed, and I loved conflict. Now there's a unity. The town has like grown into something that I am so proud. Like I feel like a proud dad, and I know Miller does too because we know what it used to be like trying to do music here. There wasn't really a lot of unity. You know what I'm saying? There were cliques here and there, but they didn't get along. With everybody else. And I mean, we didn't get into it with a lot of people, but now it's more of a unity. There's a great culture. They got a lot of these young artists that I love to death. Steph Simon, all of them. They got eyes on us, and now that we got like people filming, my friends working on the Tulsa King series. They worked on movie here with Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio. There's more people coming here from other places to create things, and that just brings more attention on us too. And I think this is honestly the best time for real like music to come back. Because it would stand out. Like right now, in the midst of all this stuff that sounds the same, anything that sounds different got to be good. You know what I'm saying? So I love how the town has grown after me. Like after I hung up the reins, right? I love like the hip hop artists here that have been doing stuff and like the rap artists and their grind and their consistency. Like I love all of that. I'm glad to see all of that. You know, all the other artists here. I want you to grow. I'm if I see you and you try to sell me your music, I'll buy it. Just because I believe in the hustle.
Right.
I know that that's not even a thing no more. But you can sell me a little card with a download, and I'll download it right to my phone. You know what I'm saying? I just appreciate the hustle, and I might not like everybody's music, and I might not listen to everybody's music, but that don't mean that I can't appreciate
support. Yeah,
exactly. That's always been the big thing, like show support, man. I remember like after we had all our CD days and I stopped doing music, dude was at Quick Trip and he was like, "Hey," and I'm sitting in my car. He's, "Hey, come here. I'm trying to have you check out this CD." I said, "Man, you need to work on your hustle, man. You got to come up to me and show me your stuff. I'm not getting out the car and walking up to you so you can show me your music, man. Try to sell you. You got to sell yourself, man." Yeah. And I think that thing is like falling, especially because there's no actual media anymore, like physical media.
Actually, sitting there out there putting their grind in.
Yep.
They're not putting their work in no more.
Yeah.
But what were some of the challenges that you faced during your rise, personally and professionally?
Oh, well, I mean, there was a lot of challenges. I mean, like most of the challenges with the music was really just like trying to stick with it. Like I always loved doing it, and when I wasn't selling them anymore, like selling music anymore, didn't mean I stopped creating. Like I still made stuff, just only like my friends and other MCs and people around me ever heard a lot of these songs, because I wasn't like pressing them up or I wasn't putting them on any of the streaming stuff. So much music. Like I've got a hard drive here with like a terabyte full of beats that nobody's ever heard, just bangers, just sitting. And I'm like, now I'm at a point where I've got kind of things flowing good where I can set time aside to write and actually work on beats again and, get back into it. I think most of the struggles with music was just trying to keep it going, man. It's like my moment is zen, like some people need to go to the gym, some people go to church, right? I go to the music. And so like I had more struggles without the music than I did with it. You know what I mean? And then, like I've had my issues, with authorities. And I guess I've always had issues with authorities. But and health issues, like my health is kind of like been declining, and I've been trying to keep that going and just get better and like heal up, trying to get rid of this cane. I'm tired of walking with this cane. I started walking with a cane almost not quite a year ago, and I just never noticed like how rude people are. Like they'll walk right into the store, shut the door in your face. You like, really? Like, you can't open the door for me? Made me realize like how rude must have I been to people and not even known it. But like that's the main struggles are like the real ones, man. Bills and how to graphic design work to slow down. I used to maybe do 5 or 6 album covers a month and like maybe 10 to 20 logos a month, and that was a good little bit of bread. And now that AI comes in and people just pull up an app and get the logo made for free, it kind of cut into that, and that there's struggles with that, and how to stay how to still be myself making new music is going to be a struggle, because like people listen to like the older music you done and they already create this like image of you, but images can change, man. People change. People can fix their thoughts. They could be not good then and be good now because you've had a change of heart, and but I know that like people my age and MCs, they're going to appreciate the music I'm doing now because it's about struggles and it's about real things. It's about struggle with family, struggling with what's going on outside of this door, you know what I mean? and everybody can relate to that. They might not want to admit that they can, but they can relate to it, And we all got struggles. I think it's how you deal with them, and as long as you learn from them, you can keep going. And that's, I like to tap into actual struggle. That's how I connect with a lot of people, because like we have a lot of the same similar struggles, man. We all know what it's like to, oh man, these bills, and man, they charging us. They just raised all this stuff, and so I think that's a lot more relatable. It might not be commercially marketable,
right.
but I'm fine with that because I feel like I'm just gonna make music, the music I want to make, and if the people who like it are probably people like me, and I'm fine with that. People who have struggled can relate to it, But I still I want to work with some young artists because, like I said, I got a whole bunch of beats sitting here, and I'd like to maybe produce some young artists and get some of them kids, maybe get some of that money from like the younger generation.
Because they need it. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I wanted to get you and Miller, because they gotta know you. Well, Pac got a song about the old school. You know what I'm saying? I forgot how it go, but it would be something without the old school, somewhere where he paying homage to those who came before him.
Right.
Man, and again, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, show luck.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's it, man. I mean, I'm not gonna be in anybody's way, but like I will argue that like things are a lot easier now for artists, and people need to take advantage of that, man, because you have no idea how tough it used to be to even get your name known or even have anybody ever listen to music or have the radio play your music or have anybody tune in to anything you're doing, come to your shows or anything. It used to be a lot more difficult. It's a lot easier now, and I think new artists need to take advantage of that. Definitely.
Do you feel like the city give y'all flowers y'all deserve?
Yeah, man. I mean, I here's the thing, man. As a man, we usually only get flowers at the end.
Right.
So to get any flowers between birth and before we check out is great. It's great. And there are a lot of other people that need their flowers, like Leo. Well, me and my brother learned so much about engineering and mixing and stuff from Leo, just watching him and just being like a sponge. There were Big Man, you know what I'm saying? There were a lot of producers and engineers that definitely need their flowers because none of the artists that I grew up around and worked with would ever have made it without them. And so it's just a thing. Like, you give me mine, I give them theirs, and we just keep the flowers going, man. I think that where the town is going is good, but I also think it's time to bring real music back. Not that there's not any out there, but there's a lot of bubblegum shit. So
how has your mindset changed since the early days in the game?
Well, I mean, it's just things are different now, man. It's not like it was. Like, so you got to kind of act accordingly. I'm not saying you got to bend to everybody's will, but like there are things that you got away with then that you can't get away with now. And I think that you just gotta kind of change with it, man. You gotta change with the current, or you're gonna get lost. It's okay to go against the grind sometimes, but you can't do that all the time. You need to kind of go with the flow and do what makes sense. If that's the one thing that I have learned. I've learned that we're in a lot different times, and I don't have to. I could still like make music and be creative and have good songs without like pissing everybody off. You know what I mean?
That part.
I'm still gonna piss some people off. That's fine. But as long as it's the uptight people, I'm fine. I don't want to hurt nobody that ain't already being hurt. You know what I'm saying?
If you can go back and give your younger self a piece of game or a piece of advice, what would it be?
Invest in Google. No, man, like really, like the best advice I give my younger self would be invest in any of that stuff that was going on then now is taken off, and not just the younger me only worried about what I had. You know, when you come from a place where you're not used to having anything, right? Mm-hmm. So then when you get something, you like, oh, I got this new watch and I got this new candy paint root beer car, right? And so you want to show those things off because you never had nothing before. So when you get something, you're excited to show it off. As you get older, you realize that you can't take none of this shit with you anyway, and it don't matter. It's better to have a blanket and a good roof over your head than some fancy car and all the other shit. Not saying you can't have those things. I'm just saying for me, like I would tell my younger self that in the end, that shit don't matter. They can take it all away from you. Mm-hmm. Try to have something that they can't take from you. That would be the best advice I'd give my younger self.
That's real too, because like you said, with the snap of a finger, I was and I don't want to get off track, but I was watching YouTube dash body cam yesterday, and they pulled over a sister, and she had two babies' bodies inside of a suitcase. You know what I'm saying? But like just that fast, yo, like I mean, you did something dumb, and I ain't finna go into that, but just that fast, everything over with.
Yeah, man, it's like it's just I don't know, man. I don't want to get too off on the
yeah.
But the world is crazy, and we're at a point in time. Let me see how I can say this without saying it. We're in a point in time where the people who do the crazy things, right, the bad things, are comfortable that they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So they like horrendous shit, all that racism, all that. They're comfortable. They feel like it's okay for them to be like that. The silver lining is, especially with like the racists, we didn't even used to know who the racists were at a point. Like they look like our doctors. They look like, you know what I'm saying? They look like regular people. At least now they make themselves be known, So at least we can see them, they're not hiding behind a uniform. But I think that, yeah, man, the world is crazy, and love your family and take care of your family, and because this is it. You got one shot at it, my dude, and when it's over, and you can't take nothing with you. So all you can leave behind is the good things you did with the people that you love.
What's your message to the young artists? You know what I'm saying? That's trying to make it out right now. You know what I mean?
Young artists, yeah, be different. Don't listen to a certain kind of artist and think that you need to sound exactly like them. Even though I know this sounds stupid, even though I know that the record labels will do that exact same thing. They will take an artist and it's like a cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. Like every artist sounds just like this. Mm-hmm. It sells. Let's just drown them in it, right? But my advice to young artists is stand out, be different, do things that aren't being done. Don't just follow with the pack and say they're doing it, so I'm gonna do the exact same thing. No, do something that nobody's even thinking about. Mm-hmm. Create a new sound, create something else. Like do something that hasn't been done. Because we could keep doing the same thing over and over again and be stuck in this loop, but nothing good comes out of that. That's not being creative. Being creative is making something different and standing out. You know what I'm saying? So that'd be my best advice to young artists is don't do something that's already been done. Do something new.
If people want to, like, you know what I'm saying, get a beat, do some music, or just reach out like for some logos, labels, anything, how can they reach out to you?
The easiest way to get a hold of me is Smokelahoma TV at gmail.com. And just put in there what you're interested in doing. If you want to see some graphic work that I've done, I can send you samples. If you want to hear some beats, I can send you snippets. They will be tagged, because I've had issues with people taking my beats and rapping to them, and then I go and sell the beat to somebody, and they're like, well, they're rapping to the beat. And I'm like, well, they took it out the email. So I can send you snippets, but the best way to contact me is through smokelahoma.tv at gmail.com. That's SMOKLAHOMA.TV at gmail.com.
All right, so my last question, and I want to say thank you again for giving me your time.
No problem, man.
When it's all said and done, what do you want the Pac-Man legacy to be?
Ooh. Well, if you had asked the younger me, it would be a completely different answer. At this point in my life, my legacy is my son. I want to make him proud. You know, I want to make him as proud as he's made me. So my legacy is really him, and I just want to make sure that whatever I do, like from here on until I check out, it's not gonna. He can look back at it, and he can be proud of it and not ashamed. That's really my biggest goal, is just to leave him in a better world than what I was left with, and that should be all our legacy. I mean, is our kids. You know what I'm saying?
So I salute that you said that, because I ask everybody that as we close, but a lot of people be like, I want to be known for this. I want to be, you know what I mean? And you know how the people is.
That's why I said, like, the younger me would have been like, I just want everybody to know that the real Pac-Man was always real, and he always did, like, that would have been then, but that don't matter. Like, my legacy ain't even about me no more. All this music that I've done and all this music I'm gonna do will always be accessible. People will always be able to listen to it until the end of time, and that is a legacy by itself. Mm-hmm. But the only real legacy that I'm worried about is like the world that I'll leave my kid in, and him being able to look back at what I've done. And I know a lot, like, he'll look at a lot of them old albums and be like, what was he doing? But the new stuff that I do, like I said, you listen and you hear the growth. You hear the growth in me, the music, the mixing, everything. It all grew, and it's still growing. And he's into instrument. He's got a ukulele and a harmonica, man, and nobody's ever taught him how to play or do any of that. And he's in there playing, my dude. And my nephews are starting to want to rap, and I'm like, hey, come over to Uncle's and come listen to some of these beats. Like, mm-hmm. That is the legacy, man. Mm-hmm. To keep the kids being creative instead of doing stupid shit.
Yeah, keeping them grounded.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. I love the channel. I love the show. I've been watching episodes. Definitely want to, everybody watching this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it to somebody so they can like and subscribe. That's the only way these channels go. YouTube is the toughest nut to crack. My first Smokelahoma channel I had on there, I had almost 12,000 subscribers, my dude. Mm-hmm. And I filmed a video with some lady asking her about cannabis, and she went to Google because I didn't blur her face out, and they took my whole channel down.
Wow.
So I had to start all the way back over with the Smokelahoma TV channel, but you can check out the Smokelahoma TV channel. There's a lot of old stuff on there.
Check that out,
yeah, I got new content coming, and I've got new stuff working with new artists, and I'm going to put all that on the Smokelahoma TV channel. I'm a gamer. I stream. That's why they call me Pac-Man. They don't call me Pac-Man because I like to knit sweaters, okay? Yeah. I play video games. But, yeah, man, I appreciate what you're doing, man. Definitely getting a lot of the legendary artists in here, man, and hopefully, like, we get to check out some of these new artists too, and just keep it going, man. Keep it growing. I love and appreciate what you're doing, my dude.
Indeed, like I said, thank you. You know what I'm saying? You're a Tulsa legend. You know what I'm saying? So I salute you and I appreciate you. Thank you, big bro.
Hey man, you have a good one, man.
Hey, you too.
All right.